Hello all. So I figured I would do my review of Elden Ring since I finally beat it after about 134 hours, at least according to the Steam charts. Uh, I originally liked the game for the first, let's even say 100 hours. Like, I fucking loved it. I liked the Stormveil Castle. Actually, I don't know. I kind of like the beginning when I was roaming around and I was still getting new, or like getting used to the new things and just getting used to the world. Beat Margit with one of my friends because I could not kill that motherfucker since I started the game with a counselor and chose to put nothing in vigor. And then I'm not good at dodging or parrying, and I could not kill that boss by myself. So I got a friend in. We eventually killed him, and it went well. Then I unlocked Stormveil Castle, and Stormveil Castle is fucking amazing. It is the only thing in the game for better or worse, depending on what side you come on, that feels like old school Dark Souls games. And just for the record, I've beat every Dark Souls game. I've beat Bloodborne. I've beat Neo 1. I didn't beat Neo 2 because I didn't. I eventually got off Neo 2 just because I didn't like the specials as much as the first one, even though technically they are better, I guess, but I didn't like them. I still want to get back to that game eventually, but either way. I've beat all these games, and I beat Dark Souls 1 without summoning anybody. I don't know why I feel like I need to explain this, but some people get weird about getting friends to help you. I beat Dark Souls 1 without summoning anybody for a vast majority of the bosses. There might have been one or two I did summoning, but I don't believe so. Dark Souls 2, 3, Neo 1, and Elden Ring. I've gotten to the point in these games that if I feel like the bosses are bullshit, I will just summon somebody and get help. I don't care. Because the good thing about the games for me is the just the world and the enemies and seeing cool shit. I don't need to prove that I can kill the bosses because I've done it before. And I would say I've done it in a way better game. And that out of the way, before I get to like my points of the game, in general, I'm ranking Elden Ring 3 out of 5. It's an okay Souls-like game. I don't like Soulsborne because I think that's dumb. It's a Souls-like. It's an okay Souls-like game, but it's not the best, and it's a good game, but I think it is the worst of all these games. Like, for me personally, it'd be Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 1, let's say Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, Neo. Well, Neo 1 would be somewhere, but we're trying to keep to the Souls-ish series, and then Elden Ring at the bottom. Elden Ring is a good game for the first, let's say 40, 50 hours, which is perfect because that's how long all the other games were. I checked my times to beat all the other Dark Souls games, and I clock in about 30 to 40 hours. Let's even say 40 to 50 hours to be fair, because some of them might have been like 45. And I think that's a perfect length for these games. I'm sure some people beat Elden Ring faster. That is cool. I played Elden Ring the way I always play these games, which is doing a vast majority of the side content because I want to find everything possible. And Elden Ring is way too long. For me personally, and I think for a lot of people, 100 hours to 150 hours is probably going to be the time they clock in at. I mean, obviously that would change depending on what build you go for, if you summon every single boss and don't try any without getting help, as I did. And I did some of those streams on my channel if anybody cares to watch those. Like Mike got weird or Game Audio got weird on a couple of them. Uh, some of them, if I think it is a fair fight, like the Carrion Knight, I believe it's called, I think I spent like an hour, hour and a half fighting that guy and getting my ass stomped. But I kept on going for it because I knew the fight was fair. I was just being bad at it. And to be fair, I still ended up kind of cheesing it because I was bad at that fight. And I only have, some knowledge here and there, but based on a lot of people I've talked to, and like obviously people are good at it and you can learn, but I think the dodging and the parrying in this game feel bad. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. Maybe it's because I'm using an Xbox controller, even though I tried going back to the Xbox 360 controllers, what I originally used, and just something feels off about them. Uh, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I played the last three games, or two, three. Well, I guess Bloodborne you kind of had to figure it out. But I played Dark Souls 2 and 3 with using magic, so I hardly ever parried in those. I just dodged. So maybe I'm just bad at parrying now because I haven't done it for so long. But the dodge is weird, and I don't know if it's always been like this, but it only goes off when you let go of B instead of pushing it down. And like eventually I got better at it because I learned that after testing it, and I was like, okay, now I just have to like pre-push B when I know I need to dodge instead of pushing it as soon as I need to dodge. And that feels off. I don't, again, I don't know if that's how all the games were, or maybe I've played games with a better dodge since then. I don't know. I just know it feels bad. Uh, all right. So game is way too long. A lot of the magic in this game, I went Faith this time. In 2 and 3, I believe I went Dark Magic and just regular magic. Uh, in Dark Magic in 2, if I recall, was Sorcery and Faith mixed together, and it was pretty badass. In Elden Ring, they have, I believe it's called Fundamentalist Magic, which is what seems to be dark magic because it uses sorcery and faith. I hated all those spells. I used all the faith magic and ended up using the lightning spear for damn near the entire game. Once I found it, I missed the enemy that drops it, but once I found it, that spell is so fucking good. It comes out fast. Enemies don't seem to dodge it, which is weird because they dodge fucking everything else, and it does a ton of damage. That's the only good faith spell. For a while, I used Fireball. Then I got, I believe it was called Black Flame, and those were good spells. Blinding Spear just goes out so fast and always hits, or mostly always hits, that it's dumb not to use it. I think it's dumb that for one of the endings in the game, you have to use a seemingly faith spell that you learn from the faith people, but you have to have all like 37 points in sorcery. That is fucking stupid. There's I think it's called Elden Stars or whatever spell that Faith has. That is bad. You have to have a lot of faith. It shoots out an orb that's extremely slow. It looks really cool. It sends out a whole bunch of little stars or something at people and does no damage. I think it does like 10 to 15 damage. And the argument for it is it has high stagger. Because I had to look this up because I was like, man, this spell sucks. So I'm curious what other people thought about it. The high stagger is cool, but realistically, you're not using that spell in PvE. You're maybe using it in PvP, but man, that's putting you at a huge ass disadvantage if you're using PvP. And people are going to dodge that shit. Or they will just run and hide because that's all motherfuckers do in these PvP in these games, which is stupid. Like, if they know they're going to lose, which, I mean, it's fine, like, people do what they want to do, but if they know they're going to lose, they will run and dodge and hide until you run out of mana because they're never going to run out of endurance. It's dumb. Okay, but back to my points. Maybe I'll do timestamps on this, actually. I don't know. They took Covenants out of the game. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but it's not in the game, so I don't think it matters. With the best part of the Dark Souls series, in my opinion, are the Covenants. There are no Covenants in this game whatsoever. There's one sort of maybe, but not really. Any of the early missions that seemed like maybe it was leading to a Covenant because the guy would be like, oh, I need you to do this. Will you join me? That just leads to quests. I thought it was going to lead to a Covenant, but it never does. There's nothing cool in this game for Covenants. In Dark Souls 2, they had the Blue Sentinels and the Blue Guard, or whatever they call it. And if I don't remember exactly which one did what, but I believe if you're in the Blue Guard, if you wore a ring and you got invaded, a Blue Sentinel would get sent to your game to protect you. That was fucking cool. In Elden Ring, they just made it 2 rings that you could put on and it would summon people, which I guess is fine from a, like, you can do this while being in a Covenant type thing. And that would be cool because, like, you shouldn't have to join a covenant and not be able to do anything else just because you don't want to get invaded or you want help. But they made it items that you use in the game, and there are no covenants. Uh, I believe it was Dark Souls 1, I joined the Dragon Covenant. That was badass. Dark Souls 2, I joined the Bell Tower Covenant. That was badass. Dark Souls 3, I don't know if it was broken or nobody joined or I played it too early on release. I don't know. I joined. See, Dark Souls 3, I barely remember because, like, any of the shit I actually want in these games wasn't in the game. Dark Souls 3 had some covenant that seemed like it was like the Bell Tower Covenant with some dragon. I was supposed to get summoned to like protect his zone or what the fuck's happening. I played that game for again about 40, 50 hours, probably got to that covenant within the first like 5, 10, if I had to guess. I never got summoned. And I never verified this, but I can only chalk it up to the covenant was broken on release and just didn't work. And that sucks. And no matter the reason the covenant didn't work, it fucking sucks. In Elden Ring, no covenants. You can't do anything. There's nothing cool. I think it was even Dark Souls 1. I like joined a PvP thing that they added in the DLC, so I could do like PvP arena. That was awesome. Elden Ring has nothing. Uh, Second point, quest design that Elden Ring has not suited for an open world. Because what happened to me, what probably happened to a lot of people, is I ended up like I'll use the grapes as an example. I won't explain what they are, but you find them pretty early on. You find like Granny's grapes or whatever the fuck they're called. I never found out what those did for about 120 hours, and I was beat the game. I was helping a friend teleported to Grace, and the character that needed those was at a Grace I was previously at, like, 20 hours in. So what happened is I went through the game, did the Graces, found the grapes, never went back to this specific Grace because I never had a reason to, never found the character. I think that's bad design. And I'll explain why at the end of this, but I think that is a bad design. And there's a lot of quests like that. A lot of quests, you will find something, you won't know what it does, and they don't really give you a hint at what it does because that's, what people like about this whole series. But it's entirely possible for you never to find them. Unless you go to every single Grace and every single zone again and again and again, help you find them. And along with that, because I don't think I have this as another point, I went Faith, and eventually, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, eventually the Faith Healer leaves the hold. And I'm pretty sure he tells you where he's going, but I forgot. I forget if he told me, I forgot where he said. And I didn't find this motherfucker for like hours and hours and hours of going through this game. And eventually I got to a late part of the game area. And I was like, man, I need to learn some of these spells that this guy had because I'm getting my ass kicked over here. And I want to just learn all the faith spells. I could not find him, and no character in the game tells you, like, you can't, like, find out again where they are. And there's no method to read previous communications or previous text or dialogue with characters. I had the tutorial in my inventory the entire game, and you can read through it, and it tells you the tutorial again if you want to. They could easily have a tab or a glossary or an index or something with every character you've talked to in their last dialogue. It wouldn't take anything away from the game, and it would make it better. Because I get not having a quest log, but you should be able to go back and see what people said. And I don't know if it's just my controller, but sometimes my controller hit A twice, and it fucked up some of these dialogues, and I skipped stuff. It sucked. But I had to look up where that guy was, because I would have never found him, because again, by the time that he left my hold, I was already past where he went, so I would have not seen it. Third part. Bosses suck in this game. I don't know what it is. I think Dark Souls 1 had the best bosses, and then 2 had pretty good, then 3 kind of got shitty again. Bloodborne was good for what it was. Like, I think Bloodborne was perfect in what they were going for. But in the Dark Souls series... Oh, and Neo is really good too. In the Dark Souls series, they got progressively more complex, I guess, because people, like, got good with the bosses and the dodging and the parrying, that they were like, hey, let's give every fucking boss 2 forms, maybe 3, and let's give them like 1,000 arms or they attack a billion times. In Dark Souls 1, I could do this because I did what people call like the pussy route, I guess, is I went full Havels. I knew nothing about the game, it's just what I gravitated towards. I went full Havels, Man Serpent Cleaver, or Man Serpent Claymore, whatever it's called, when I eventually found that. And I had a lot of fun in that game. I was able to do every boss the way it was intended, and it was fine being melee. In this game, in Dark Souls 2, if you went magic, and even Dark Souls 3, if you went magic, you could beat the game. It was harder, but you could do it. And I know you can do that in Elden Ring, but to me, it felt like every boss was so punishing that it was impossible to do it. Or impossible for a normal person not amazing at this game trying to beat it solo. Because I tried the bosses solo, but if they got fucked, which almost all of them did, I just summoned somebody or did ashes and I was done with it. And one of the other things with the boss design in this game I hate is almost every game or every boss at the end of this game has two forms. They have a dumb ass, easy ass first form where the boss just basically walks up to you and is like, yo, just hit me and kill me or get me to half health. And then they will go to second form that's totally bullshit. I don't remember her name, but there's some. I think she's the second main boss, Renalia or something, where she's like in the library. I won't ruin the fight, other than it has two phases. First fight, really cool fight. It's not hard, but it's unique and it's different than almost every other fight in this game. But her second phase is way harder, but it's not bullshit. It is hard, but it is, you got the mechanics. I mean, some of it could be bullshit because it seemed random. But that fight was doable. I mean, I got help with it because you had to redo the run the entire time, then the first form the entire time, and it just pissed me off. But the second form was doable. After that late game, first form for all the in-game bosses was dead fucking easy. Second form was just beating your ass nonstop, where it's like, oh, you dumbass, you should have went endurance and strength, and you would have had a better time with this. And maybe I should have went endurance and strength, or not faith, because I think faith sucks. But that's about it. You can do these bosses solo if you're magic, but I think you have to cheese it. And I wasn't going to bring this up in this video because it's not relevant and it came out after I beat the game. But they nerfed a lot of the weapons in this game that were like the quote unquote like overpowered items. But there are still people two-shotting bosses with like two hammers, dual wielding. And I'm over here using the sword or fire and flame or whatever the fuck it is called. It's like six-shotting bosses, hopefully if I don't die with a huge ass windup. But people are slamming two hammers around and killing people. It's dumb, but it's whatever. The open world is good, but it's not necessary. And that's kind of it with the open world. I don't think it added to this game. If anything, I think it subtracted. I think this game could have been a lot smaller and still would have been just as good. I don't think there was a ton of dead space in this game like others do. I would say there's probably almost no dead space in this game because all of it seemed to be used. But I don't think we needed so many dungeons. I don't think because a lot of the dungeons were just bullshit. They were the same kind of bosses. There was like, I think only two unique dungeons that I loved. One was a inverse dungeon, that's all I'll say. And another one was a dungeon that was like kind of the demo from PT, if anybody remembers that, and it kept on looping. That was fucking badass. All the other dungeons were basically the same thing, and it sucked. Put this music back on because it's pretty good. And it's a little bit louder. And that's kind of it. We didn't need all these dungeons. They were all pointless. They gave items, but they could have given those items in better areas. Like cut half the dungeons of the game, but make everything after Stormvale Castle, that's a major area, bigger. Put more stuff in it. Put more mini bosses within the dungeons. Do something. I didn't like the open world as much, and I thought it was wholly pointless. And it could have been done better. Maybe they'll do better in the second game, because I think everybody can bet their sweet ass there's going to be an Elden Ring 2. Hopefully it's better. Hopefully they learn something. I already went over this at the beginning, so I'll skip it. Game shouldn't have been 100 hours plus for, I'm going to say, most people. They could have done better. I kind of already went over my next note, which is spells. I know not all sorcery spells were amazing, but they were really good and could do more than some of the weapons that were cheese, and I don't believe those spells were nerfed. I could be wrong. I read the patch notes. And in the patch notes real quick, They buffed a lot of the sorcery spells to make them better, and I get they were dog shit before, so they made them better. No incantations got touched. But the sword of fire and flame or whatever it's called that a lot of faith people used got nerfed by like 50% damage, maybe 30% damage. So now we're stuck with like kind of two good spells and that's it. Like, yes, we have healing, we have shield, but that doesn't make up for the lack of damage. And again, I think the fundamentalist spells suck ass, so there's not a good dark magic in this game. Faith seems kind of shitty in this game if you're going faith with magic and not doing faith with endurance and strength. If you're doing faith with endurance and strength, you're probably good. Oh, and like I guess we count this as a spoiler, so if anybody is listening to this and you want to cut off now, go for it. I'm going to talk about how I feel about the ending of the game, but I'm not going to necessarily say anything about it. But it's up to you. You turn it off or not. Now. Alright, so the ending of the game fucking sucks. There's no story. There's nothing good about it. The build up to it is good because they're giving you story, sort of. That seems like it would matter. None of it matters. And that's it. The story sucks. I now, if you that's all you want to know, whatever, I'll now go a little bit more in depth. So one of the first characters you meet is Fia. Or at least that's how I say her name. I don't actually know that's how it's pronounced, but that's how I'm saying it. She was the Death Maiden, or Death Bed Maiden, whatever she is. I thought she was the coolest character in the game. B, she was straightforward with her motivations. And she was like, hey, this is what's going to happen. Like, the debuff she puts on you, yeah, that kind of sucked. That she didn't tell you about, but whatever. So I did her story, got her mark, got to the end of the game, chose her mark, so presumably I'm getting her ending. And I thought she was going to come back and do some cool shit, or I thought the world was going to descend into chaos, or something cool was going to happen. My motherfucking ass just sits in the throne, and then it says some bullshit, and that's it. I looked up another ending called, like, the Dust ending, whatever the fuck it's called. Same goddamn ending. It just says, like, oh, the dusk, and then it ends. That's it. Nothing cool about the ending, and maybe I shouldn't have expected it, but they talked about the Game of Thrones guy, whatever his name is, and they made it seem like there was going to be a better or more story in this game, and there's not. There's nothing cool in this game. There's nothing. The story is serviceable. It is there. It's interesting, but the payoff sucks. If there are endings that do have better payoff, well, too fucking bad. They fucked up. I did the ending that seemed cool, that was with seemingly a main character, and I could have chose the Golden Order ending because I went faith and I figured out their puzzle and all that shit. But nothing. Like, again, if there are two good endings in this game, which is what I heard there are, I don't think that matters. I did my playthrough the way I wanted. I did my playthrough with a character that I liked. And if I got a bad ending and there are better endings that give more story, that's not on me. That's on the developers for making a bad ending. This is not a, like, traditional, like, I don't know, Japanese role-playing game where there's, like, a true ending or there's all this bullshit. And even if there is, fuck it. I played the game for 130 hours. I did the ending that the game gives. And I got an ending that sucks ass, and that is my experience with the game. And probably a lot of experiences with the game. And I don't, like, if I played the game twice, which I'm fucking definitely not going to, I could get a different ending and get a better ending, but it wouldn't matter. Because the first playthrough that a person has with the game is always their ending, because it's their unique choices in what they did on a gut reaction. Unless you look shit up, then I think that's bullshit, but whatever. It's the first playthrough is my ending, it was my choices, and is my experience with the game. That shadows everything with the game. If I had a better ending, I probably could have forgiven a lot of this. I'm guessing not, but, you know, who knows. But with a shitty ending, it made for a shitty experience. And originally I would have given this game like a 4 out of 5, but with the shitty ending and everything else I marked, which I probably need to do chapter markers for anybody that just wants to skip to that, I think it's a solid 3 out of 5. because it's not terrible, but it's not good. It's not great. It's not amazing. I personally hope they never do another one of these again, but they will, and hopefully they learn something from it. That's about it. Uh, that's my review. 3 out of 5 could be better. Hopefully they learn from the Breath of the Wild developers how to make a good open world. I don't know. All right. See you guys. I'm out.